watch list of yours, Brian. That's good, B. Good start. All right, so yeah, we got a little strength in. Got a little strength in these QQQs this morning. Man, these gaps are really annoying sometimes. But what can you do? We are getting out of this kind of range. We've been consolidating for about 4 days. So we should be able to kind of decrease right out of this range. You can see if you're looking at a 30-minute chart here, since the 6th, we've been stuck in a range. So about a week or so, give or take. Now we're starting to kind of peek our way out of that. So that's good. The part that's going to be tricky is obviously making sure that we don't use up too much of our range at the open. So we'll have to kind of be careful with that in the market today. Wait for a little bit of a pullback or something like that, and we should be good to go. All systems a go. Hold on. Let's take a look at the SPY here. All right, so SPY's been rounded out too, but this one's been closing over the 9 EMA, so I think it's got a little bit more room. This thing's been trending all morning also, so you got kind of a lot going on this bad boy for sure. All systems are a go in the markets today, so that's always a plus. There's a lot of stocks kind of gapping around today and stuff, so let's take a look. We've got this TLRD. This is a retail stock that's busting out over its base over here and its 200 SMA. This one's got only 32 million share float, so it's going to have some good juice here. You're already starting to see some pretty big range on this thing. $5 pre-market, so that's actually a decent amount of range right there. Due to the size of the float, if we see any good volume come in, kind of a good float to volume ratio is usually kind of, 1 to 10 or 10 to 1, however you want to look at it. That's a good float to volume ratio if you're looking for something that's going to have some range. So this thing, I think, has a chance today. This PDD, man, I was hoping for this thing to hold red. It's a dumped end of day, and then kind of us played the breakout over this 23.75. This becomes a little bit more tricky because now this thing's already ramped up a buck. What we'll look to do at the open on something like this, let's see if we kind of tap back to this 23.75 and start to hold. If you see the tap back and some rounding action, then we're going to be good. Or if you just get a slight pullback to maybe even the 9 EMA or so, then that's going to help out too. Watch and see where it settles. When you're looking at a pullback, you don't know where it's going to settle, right? Where it's going to actually hold. So the key is to get just a slight bit of confirmation, not too much, right? We don't want to be the presidents of the confirmation society, right? We just need a little bit to hold, and then we can go, right? And that's usually the easiest way to do it without getting too wild. A lot of China stocks are kind of gapping up this morning too. You're starting to see these things kind of really come out of these long-term, I don't even know what you'd call these, wedgies, triangle thingies. You really call them whatever you want. Flag, big long flag, whatever. But this thing is starting to move out of this range. You don't have any really resistance till about 31. So that's actually good. So this one's got a little bit of a range on it. And you could see, like, even yesterday, it was moving pretty clean for the most part once news was hit and it started to go. That's what you want to kind of see, like a pop, that first pullback flag go. Now, I wish these fuckers didn't gap so much, but what can you do, right? What can you do? Okay. Bum, 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 bum. This PVTL is kind of getting smoked on the downside. Kind of reminds me of Sono the other day. It's down 23%, which Sono was down like 18% at the open. But same type of deal. Like if you're crushing below this level here and kind of you've already filled the gap, you've got a lot of room to the downside. The caveat on this one's going to be what? When you're down 23%. SSR, right? So the SSR is on. You got short sale restriction on. You're not going to be able to pound the bid on it. You know, you got to kind of do it like how Sono did it, right, the other day, where all of a sudden you pop down, you know, and you need that kind of short squeeze into your 9 EMA and then let it fizzle out, right? So watch that first pop and then let it cruise out, all right? That's kind of the easiest way to play, I think, short sale restriction plays, because it's hard to short something with SSR just right into the hole, you know what I mean? So that's going to be, you know, the nature of the game. And then, you know, this Kroger's has got a little bit of downside too. You kind of busting on those 2 MAs, but you got room down to over here to the 200. You know, this thing could very well, you know, be a play. This thing's got a big float, 800 million shares, so it's definitely going to grind a little bit. So you're not going to get like the same kind of heat that you would on like a PVTL or a PDD or a TLRD. You know, 800 million shares is quite a bit. So you get more volume, tend to grind a little bit. So it'll be a steadier play. For some of you guys, you know, a slower, steadier play is frankly good. You know, if you ever have trouble trading like the action, you know, I have a lot of students that just, they can't handle like a lot of range. And so they take losses because it's just like, you know, you play something like TLRY and it moves, you know, $5, $10 like so quick. It's easy to take losses. Like I fucking got smoked on this thing yesterday, you know, fucking around with it. You know, and I do this all my life. So, you know, for new people, sometimes this thing can be really tricky, but, you know, something like a Kroger or even AMD, they have so much volume and their floats are higher. So they just move a little bit more, they move a little bit more steady. Like you don't get necessarily as many shakeouts and spreads and wicks and like that kind of stuff. They'll like a higher float stock. It could be slower sometimes, but like this one moves and, you know, it'll be more steady. It'll kind of keep you really grounded in terms of not over trading and stuff like that. On the non-gapper side, I really like this B. This is an IPO breakout over here. You can kind of see this thing kind of busting out of range. IPOs have been hot all year. This is going to be in the right sector too. You know, we got an end of day push on this thing. I'd add that. SRPT, big range break today. You could kind of, yesterday. This one may have some upside too. It tends to have a decent range when it finally goes. Let me see here. Hold on here. I've been watching this ALNY for potential bounce play. I actually like this one. If it can hold here, you can see it. I just need it to tap back. Ideally, like just a little bit more shred. If it gapped down today, that would have been ideal. So you got 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, 4 day, 5 day, 6 day, 7 day, right into support. Really oversold stochastics. You know, if this thing kind of taps back into this, then start looking for a little bit of reversal. BPMX, let me see, brother. Hey, Presto. Yeah, this thing's kind of a hoe, you know. Look at the blocky candles and stuff. I'm not sure what's going on with this thing, but for the most part, it's kind of a little bit of a grinder. Not my particular specialty, for sure. I mean, I don't mind trading small caps, but see how these candles are? There's something just odd going on in this one. It's untradeable most of the day. SQ, keep on your list also. And then, yeah, with TLRY gapping up, you know, we may finally see the CGC finally, you know, bust this range. It may not, but we'll watch it. We're still watching this kind of trend line break. You know, I tried to go yesterday and it kind of just reversed back, but now it's busting loose. So if we look at more like a 30-minute time frame, we're kind of creeping out of it. So that is it for the list. Anybody got any tickers they want to look at? ZG, you know, I'm not sure on this one. It looks a little slow. You know, yeah, you got like, you know, if you get a red candle here, a red candle to hold, you know, you could potentially try to short this thing. It's been hard to swing short in this market, so you just got to be super careful. The easy money is in the long. Yeah, this INPX is probably a little bit better than the other one, the BPMX, because it's just a cleaner breakout. you still got that problem with these blocky candles. Sometimes these things are just like kind of pump stocks, so you got to be careful. Unless you know who's pumping it, you might get dumped on. So you got to be a little bit careful with those, but they definitely got potential. That one's a lot cleaner. Yeah, you could play PGNX too. I don't like shorting these small caps, so that's just, I'd rather long these things when they gap up, but that one definitely could work too. You're going to have a short SSR on it though, so if you short it low, you're going to get squeezed on it. So you got to be real careful. On a small cap that's gapping down 20%, you just can't short it too low because it'll just gap up, it'll just squeeze you, and then you get stuck on it. So you got to be just real careful with that, when you think about, your entries and stuff. Like, let it kind of pop and then fade. Hey, the schmucks are doing good. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, and I think this disco you could definitely, you could play. It seems to always just kind of do all its move in one spike and then sit around. I've seen this do it a lot of times. So not on my list, but definitely something you could look at. Joshua House, how are you? Good. So I think the Netflix is definitely, this is kind of what Paul would call like a W bottom play, where it looks like a W. So when you start to kind of crack these ranges, it ends up doing really nice. WTW, a little bit different because it's like kind of, you're up 4 days and it's stuck at resistance. That's not, that's going to be one of the kind of just strange ones. I'd probably stay away from that one. Personal, though. But yeah, I think the IQ Huyas are going to be on our list. So that's the list. Let's go do what we do. We were a little soft yesterday, but today's another day. All right? Rock and roll, people.